Raiders Chargers. I feel like we always get some sort of Raiders Chargers game in the 4 p.m. slot, so it's a good thing that we're starting out with
another division matchup. I mean, if it's not like backloaded, they just want to come out the gate with them. Apparently,
the NFL schedule's out for blood. With these divisional games here. Okay, so what is your matchup that matters here for Raiders at Chargers?
It's not really. It's a pretty obvious one. It's Max Crosby and Joe Alt in some cases. In most cases, we're going to see. He's a rookie. I mean, Joe Alt was my everybody's draft crush as far as offensive lineman went this season. This draft season. He's a massive dude, but what kind of sets him apart is that doesn't really affect his pad level. He can still get down. He is still just a phenomenal guy on the outside. I am really, though, concerned about his first test being against one of the best pass rushers in the league, who you talked about sometimes gets left out of these conversations, but not deservedly so. I mean, this is a guy that deserves to be right in the thick of things. Fourth among all players in pressures last year. He's third in quarterback hurries. He's just a game wrecker, and everybody is scared of him because he's also an absolute psycho on the field and will talk trash, and it's just a really fun player to watch and everything you want an edge guy to be. But hey, I mean, his Joe Alt's pass protection in college last year was great. Only allowed 1 sack, only allowed 2 quarterback hits. So we're going to see if that now translates immediately to the NFL level. And it's going to need more than the pass protection stats, though. You're going to need run blocking stats, right? Because Jim Harbaugh is going to run the damn ball.
Yeah.
If we have any indication of his previous stops in the NFL, and then that Michigan team last year that saw JJ McCarthy, I think, throw a total of 12 times in the fourth quarter all season, like an absolutely insane stat that I don't totally remember at this point, but I remember hearing it and just being completely shocked. This is just going to make or break Justin Herbert in this game, and that's a lot for a young rookie to take on. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think that it's a baptism by fire, as the phrase goes, and you just got to figure it out. And Joe Alt has been fantastic throughout his college career. Now you're going up against one of the best in the NFL. You're right, Max Crosby is. I feel like he's wired the way that you want your edge rusher wired. Like it's
a couple of screws loose up there.
You need these guys a little bit crazy. And look, I've had the opportunity to sit down with Max, and he's awesome. I'm just one of the most determined, competitive dudes that I've been able to interview. So it was a ton of fun to get to know him a little bit better for a feature piece that we did last year at PFF. So I know that he's going to give Joe Alt everything that he can handle, no doubt about it. I've got a matchup that I think is. It's close to the PFF style and PFF stats that people know and love here that I was able to find. Because when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about some X factors, and I was like, outside of Davante Adams, who's this team really going to go to in the passing game? And I thought about how they prioritize Brock Bowers and how good Brock Bowers has been over the last 3 years of college football. So I said, okay, now Brock Bowers versus what about the Chargers defense? How have they normally matched up against tight ends? And I specifically wonder if they've got a better matchup than people are giving it credit for, because I think a lot of people look at Derwin James' name on the depth chart for the Chargers and they go, oh, Derwin's going to neutralize the crap out of Brock Bowers. He's got no chance. He might. Derwin's a very talented player. But last year, specifically in single coverage against tight ends, Derwin James had just a 57.4 coverage grade, the lowest of his career. Now, it was a career low grades across the board for Derwin James, and so a bounce back year for him probably looks different and better in every single area. But this one's very interesting to me because it is a rookie tight end who maybe you wouldn't think would produce right away, but sort of has to for the Raiders, going up against a player who did not fare well in this category last year, but has in years past. Which version of Derwin James are we getting? Which version of Brock Bowers are we getting? I think that that's a massive matchup here, because if Brock Bowers is neutralized, it's going to be tough sledding for the Raiders to really move the ball through the air, unless they're just getting Davante Adams 10 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So we will see with that matchup, but I think that that's a really important one with how Derwin James is going to bounce back from a down year last year. What about a plus factor? Who you got?
In the way that I just mentioned, how much Jim Harbaugh is going to run the ball, it's going to be Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins. And I picked actually J.K. Dobbins for something that we did on the NFL on Fox podcast as kind of a breakout player this year. I think he just obviously has struggled with health, But if he could stay healthy, I just feel like this offense in particular would allow him to thrive. And I'm hoping that that's the case for him, because you want to root for the guy who's just had so much potential and is so dynamic. And the Raiders' run defense ranked 21st in EPA per play allowed last year. So there might be kind of a lot of work to go around between how much Jim Harbaugh is going to run the ball and how much that should be effective against the Raiders.
This team, I've said it for a couple of weeks now, I think the Raiders are a sneaky team to be one of the better defenses in the NFL. I think there's a chance that this could even be a top 5 defense in the NFL for how well they were playing at the end of last season, especially when, oh my gosh, head coach Antonio Pierce. That was the last name. I wanted to say Gibson. I was like, it's not Gibson. That's the running back. Think of the other last name. When Antonio Pierce took over, the defense was just so rejuvenated. I think that you saw that, and I think that they got even better this year. That's why the plus factor for me is actually their cornerback, Jack Jones. Jack Jones, smaller corner, feisty corner. You love the competitiveness that he plays with. Had a really good year last year, really good preseason, specifically this preseason where I felt like he was all over receivers. And I think just his competitiveness, his fieriness, like that tone-setting way that he plays the game is going to be infectious for everybody on that Raiders defense. I think they take the identity of their head coach. And if you want to beat the Raiders, they might not score a lot of points this year, but I don't think you are either. So I think that they're going to be in a lot more low-scoring, one-score games than people are giving them credit for. And I think Jack Jones being an emerging corner this year is going to be a reason why.